was born in the West Africa, Nigeria, from a city called Benin City. In my city, I was born into the Edosa family, also the Edosa family. Edosa family is the king's maker. My grandfather, in his own right, have his own kingdom. And as a king, they do a lot of stuff. And I love some of the things that he was doing, like having so many women. So me too, I was involved in doing that. And I went to grammar school, Edosa Grammar School. And that grammar school was a school that they were involved in so many activities like sports. I used to run. I played ping pong. I played lawn tennis. I played soccer, which is called football, which is called soccer. And I also went to the university, which is called University of Benin. In that university, there was a computer program that I loved so much. So I went to the computer program in my diploma, and I went as a trained computerist too. So I have both sides, and I was able to open up a business center where I train people for computer, service computer, sell computer, and that was the field I was into a computer field. And that's part of my story. And in my city is a tough city. Benin City is a tough city. You have to be strong to live in such a city. My family is a traditional family in Africa. They believe that there's a super God that created everything and another gods. We have several gods. And we have a room where they are placed and they deserve worship, and we have to worship them. Some of the worship is a little bit tough because they have to involve killing of animals and things like that. So I grew up in that family and it was fun. The fun is that you have to eat a lot of animals, different types of animals. Mention some animal, I will tell you I've eaten them. So we do that, and it was really fun. And my dad was really involved in that. Today they call it voodoo. In other country, they call it voodoo. But we call it African traditional belief, where you have to worship different gods. And some of the gods, I will tell you, brothers and sisters, you have to wear black to worship some kind of gods. Some you have to wear red, all red, to worship this god. Some you have to wear pure whites. And some celebration is done for at least 14 days. Every day of celebration, feasting and eating. So that is the type of traditional family that I came from. My dad was able to show me some incantation. There are some certain things we have to do. Maybe somebody offended me or did something bad to me. There are things I will say to you, and with some signs, you can be bleeding from your mouth and your nose. So you have to be careful. You don't deal with people like us because you know how to put people to where they belong. And another thing is this. If you go to Africa, you're going to see some certain things, mostly in my country, of somebody playing with a knife. You can take a knife and cut part of your body. It's not going to affect you. You can even cut your own eye. You take a knife and you cut your own eye. It's not going to affect you because of those voodoo things that we do. And one thing is for sure, like I always tell people, you have to be careful not to mess with people who are doing voodoo. Because if you mess with them, that may lead to the end of your life. And like I said, there's so much animal bloodshed that was involved when it comes to voodoo practice. Animals have to die. So many of them. You get to a point where sometimes you have to go look for the lion. Yeah, you have to look for some lion flesh to use in making sacrifice for some of these gods. That is what they need. You have to go look for it. Sometimes you have to go look for the tongue of an elephant. The tongue of an elephant to sacrifice to a certain god. These are some special spiritual beliefs that you must have to do it. You must have, if you are called to do it, you have to do it. Because if you don't do it, there's death waiting for such a one who refuses to obey the tradition or what the voodoo priest asks you to do. You have to go to the voodoo priest, ask them questions, what do you do? And it's tough. It's tough. Sometimes some of those things you just have to keep quiet a little bit so that people don't look at you and be afraid of you. and because of your past life or what you did. But it's more important for us to know that Satan has power too. I want us to know that, because many Christians try to feel that, oh, Satan, I just mash Satan under my food. No. It's tough. Because when God gave Satan power, he never took those power away from him. That's why he's able to use those power to manipulate, to destroy the lives of people. So you have to be careful, and you have to mind your relationship with people. Because if you are not careful, I don't want to go into some certain detailed story of one of my friends who spoke to me. He was in my village. And as he went to the village, one of the corporate, that's those who are doing their youth service, sent a young man to go buy food for him. After he bought the food, he was coming. At the door, he looked at the young man coming, and he saw dogs coming. And he wondered, I'm looking at, I think those are young people coming. And then he saw young people stand before him, and they have to give him the food. And he was afraid. He said, wow, you mean human being can turn to an animal? Yes, it is possible. When it comes to practicing of voodoo, there are different time frames you do some certain things. There are some of those gods you have to worship them early in the morning. There are some at midnight. And there are some, like I said before, you have to worship them for 14 days. This 14 days is killing of animals, dancing in the public, and many people dare to come around those feast days because it's so special that if you are not careful, you can be involved in what you never planned for. Or like, let me use a physical example, like when it comes to the dancing time, there are drums that is being played. During this time, this drum will display and some incantations, some language is being used. There are some people that just come by to watch. Before you know it, they will be involved in the dancing and they start speaking words, some certain spiritual words. So that's the reason why some people, they dare to come around the voodoo people. They are afraid. But they know that if they trespass or they did what they are not supposed to do, it leads to deaths. So that's the danger when it comes to working in a traditional way in Africa.
You just shared with me how deep and ingrained you were into voodoo. And how did you get to the point of even thinking about, serving God? I mean, how did you finally surrender to even accept the notion of God? Because I know usually when most people are into voodoo, it's a very hard thing to let go of.
This happened 3 times. But the first time I was in my room just sitting down, and I had like a big light. This light was so bright, like a rainbow, and my eye, I feel like dizzy. And I had a voice from there that calls my name, Edosa. It's time for you to give your heart to me. All the things you've been doing with your friends, the party, the this and that, you have to stop them. You have to follow me. When I had that voice, I couldn't resist. I had to run out of the room. I ran out and I told my mom what happened. That I had a voice and there's a rainbow. And she said, we have to go to the voodoo priest. I went to the voodoo priest who did some incantation. We have to do this, we have to do that. Sacrifice some animals to make sure the voice stopped. But the voice never stopped. The voice had to come back again. The second time. And when the voice came back the second time, the voice told me again, Edosa, you refuse to worship me? And I was afraid. And I said, what should I do? What should I do? And then the voice started telling me what I need to do, who to meet, who to speak to, who's going to show me what I need to do. And that happened the third time, which was the final time, and that is what breaks the camel's back.
Did the voice at any point tell you to join a specific denomination?
When the voice spoke to me one last time, I decided to listen. And I was told to go to the Seventh-day Adventist church. I don't know anything about Seventh-day Adventist because in my neighborhood, I've not seen a church like that called Seventh-day Adventist. And I was moved because there's a young man that I met who spoke to me. And he asked me to come see him. And I went to him. His name is Chus Wamboise. And I went to him. And I told him, look at what happened to me. And he told me, sure, I will take you to my church. And he took me to the Seventh-day Adventist church, my first time to enter such a church. And I sat down and I just listened to what was going on. And that is how I went into the Seventh-day Adventist church. And I listened to the preaching for that day. And it was a good message. And I said, well, I think I have to join these people. Though I don't know anything, I don't know about the Bible, what to do. And he told me he's going to have a talk with me. He took me to the elders. Because in that church, pastors come like once. The pastors have like about 5 churches that they have to visit. So he told me the pastor is going to come and they're going to talk to me. So I went with the elders and they spoke to me. They welcomed. It was a warm welcome. And they asked me, who told you about Seventh-day Adventists? And then I told them about what happened to me. And from there, they started nurturing me, showing me Bible study, and they asked me to join, like in the evening. In Africa, they do Sabbath, they start Friday evening, and Saturday evening, they also have what they call the in-depth Bible study that I have to be going so that they can teach me about what to do and how to get baptized. And after that, I was told I have to get baptized. We have to do it in the water where there's plenty of water. That's where you get baptized. So after they explained to me, it makes sense to me. And then I went into baptism. That was in August 26, 1996, that I got baptized into the church. And after I got baptized, it wasn't a sweet road. It was rough. Because I used to have friends that we do things together, hang up together and do a lot of stuff. But it came to a time they looked at me strange. They told me I look weird. I'm not like who I used to be. There's something wrong with you. So my friends they were bashing me. They talked bad about me. I remember there's something they said I'll never forget. They said I've joined Adventures. They spoiled the name of the church. They don't call it Seventh-day Adventist. They say Adventure. And that was really, really, it was touching, but I know where I was going.
Here you are. Now you're a Seventh-day Adventist. Your father's not a Seventh-day Adventist. Your mother's not a Seventh-day Adventist. Here you are as a Seventh-day Adventist going into a home where none of your parents are believers of the Seventh-day Adventist movement. What happens?
When my dad knew that I became a Seventh-day Adventist, he told me, you cannot do that in my house. You cannot be a child brought up in a traditional home where we do voodoo, and you tell me you want to do something about Christianity or whatever you call it, not in this home. You cannot do it. You have to leave the Seventh-day Adventist church. Oh, my dad said that to me. You see, I grew up, I'm afraid looking at my dad's face. I always look down when he talks. But on this day, when he said, I look at it, I said, Daddy, as soon as I gave my heart to Jesus, everything about me has changed. Why will you tell me that I have to leave the church? Daddy, I'm not going to leave the church. Though in my heart was pounding. Talking to my dad, I know my dad is. To talk to him like that, it was trouble. And I went to my mom. I said, Mommy, look at what happened. We call our mom Iye. I say, Iye, look at what my dad is saying. He said, yes, you have to leave their church. You cannot be a Seventh-day Adventist in this home. Brothers and sisters, it was tough. It was tough. And I cry sometimes. I try to talk to my sister to tell them that, why don't you help me talk to Daddy? They said, no. You have to leave the church. So it was really, really bad. It was sad that my family treat me this way. I was like the favorite. My dad lost me so much because we have to do things together. I take him to places. I drive around with him. So when my dad said that to me, it was like a blow. How am I going to survive? How am I going to succeed this? And then my sisters too, who I thought was going to support me, no way. It was a sad day for me. And I thank God that I had that experience, because if I've not had that experience, I would have not been as strong as I am. That experience led me to depend on God for everything. Because if man will fail us, Jesus said that. So it was that I don't know the Bible so good. Jesus said that your father will forsake you. Your mother will forsake you. Your friends will forsake you because you follow me. But don't worry. Be of good cheer, because I will be with you. So that was the consolation that came to my heart, that the Lord will be with me. Though it wasn't easy, brothers and sisters, it wasn't easy for your family to tell you to leave the church that you just joined, that makes you happy. It is tough.
Now, as a young man, you just got converted. You get kicked out of your house. What's in your head? What's going on? Where do you look for help?
I thank God for the church I belong to. It was a small church, though. I think that makes it better, because sometimes the bigger church, you can't see everybody. So I went to my friend Choose, one place. I told him what happened. And they told me, don't worry, you're going to be fine. And it took me to the leaders of the church, and I spoke to them. I said, my parents are not happy with my decision to become a Seventh-day Adventist. So they told me, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. And sometimes we go at church, we go to church for the morning service. And after the morning service, I go home with some of them. We have lunch together, we eat. In the evening, we go for the one I call the in-depth Bible study, to study the Bible more. And as we study, I get home late in the night. So when I sneak into the house, there's no trouble, because everything is okay with me. I'm already taking care of the pastor. Sometimes they even give me money. That's one good thing. They look at me and say, wait, I know you need money for the weekend. They gave me some money, because at that time it was a struggle, really, really a struggle. And the church did well. I don't know about other situations. Somebody might feel that, the church was not there for them. But in my case, they were there for me. And there's something they did that I will never forget. After like a year being a Seventh-day Adventist, I went through different positions or at church, and I was just growing fast in the church. One day, I was at church. I was the assistant treasurer. We were trying to check the money and everything, make sure everything is okay. I never knew the church pastor planned with the youth departments, the deacon, the usher, all the department of the church to go to my house to sing around my neighborhood. I never knew I was still at church. And I had a call from one of my a church sister, who became a Seventh-day Adventist, Pat, her name is Pat. She called me, said, Edosa, you have to come home now. There's something going on at home. I said, what's going on? He said, come quickly. And to my amazement, as soon as I came down, I saw the crowd, the street. I saw people like, come, something's going on in your area. And when I got there, I was like, wow. So I said, Pat, what do? We need to get food for them. People need to eat. And my pastor was already telling the community of how I became a Seventh-day Adventist and the change in my life. That they have never seen a man. They've simply come to church and what happened to them. But in my case, they saw me grow the way I grew from the church. They said the only thing we can do to celebrate this man is to go to his neighborhood with the church singing all over around the place. And they were asking questions, what's going on? And they were told that we are celebrating Edosa's life.
You probably had many friends. Did any of them become a Seventh-day Adventist as well?
Yes. Some of my friends became a Seventh-day Adventist because I have to talk to them. There's one thing that the Lord did for me is that I couldn't keep quiet. I couldn't keep silent. Everywhere I go, anyone I meet, I always tell them I no believe. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist now. Because my friend asked me, I used to celebrate birthdays like almost 2-3 times a year. Different birthday party. And my friend started asking me, somebody came to me and said, I think there's something wrong with you now. We used to enjoy your birthday parties that you celebrate with the women and everything. How come that you don't celebrate birthday parties anymore? Is that you don't have money anymore or you broke or something? So I told him that I am a Seventh-day Adventist. And I said, not that I don't celebrate my birthday, but it's just that I don't do it the way I used to do it before. And they started asking questions. And there's something I read, I don't want to forget this, something I read in the Bible about how Andrew was able to call his brother to Jesus. And by so doing, I started talking to my neighbors, my friends, moving from place to place. The more I tell them, somebody asked me a question, can I come to that church and join? I said, sure. So I have testimony of those who came to the church through my going from house to house, telling them about my belief, and some of my friends. The only one that I felt sad about is one of my friends who used to fix my generator for my office. One day, we had an evangelism, and the church needed a generator to use, and I gave my generator to the church. And during the evangelism, the generator did not work. So I called my friend who repaired generators, called Jen, and he went there to fix the generator. After he fixed the generator, he listened to the message. He said, wow, this is true. I never knew this true before. You mean the Sabbath day is Saturday, not Sunday? I said, yes. I know I told you before, but he didn't listen to me. He said, wow. So I need to join this church. And the crusade continued. He started coming. And one day he said, I'm going to baptize. I was so grateful to God, and he got baptized. And he's a young man like me, so I told him, what do you need? Tell me anything you need. I'm going to give to you to be coming to church. So he needed shoes, he needed clothes, I made sure he had everything. And he started coming to church. One day he told me, he said, I don't know, is it that I'm doing something wrong? I said, what happened? He said, my girlfriend left me. She don't talk to me anymore. My friends who used to drink together, we used to hang out and do a lot of stuff, they all left me. So that means it's like something wrong with me. They don't want to come close to me anymore. And I told him, this is the best thing that happened to you. In my case, it wasn't like that. Those guests keep on coming, my friends keep on coming, trying to make me go out with them, and mine was stopped. Yours is good. And lo and behold, after like a year or two, he said, I think I have to give it up. That was a sad thing that happened to me. So I had to give it up. How can everybody just hate me? They used to celebrate me. Now nobody talks about me anymore. So he told me he's going to give it up.
Did the church life appeal to you? Did you get involved with activities, becoming part of a group, maybe a Bible study group or a missionary work group?
All right. I felt that the best way to do the mission work, like I was doing it by myself, I said I have to involve some group of people so we can do it together. So I spoke to Chizwambuze, Kennedy Uno, Osagi Osegale. I said, we need to have like a group where we have to go out during the Sabbath or Sunday where we can talk to people about ministering to them. And they said, oh, that's a good idea. So we started doing that. And I saw God bringing souls into the church through that ministry. Many people came. Even I remember there was a man who was so mad with us. When we knocked at his door, we said we're coming to tell him about the love of God. He took out his machete and said, if you don't leave my house right now, I'm going to make sure I kill somebody. That was sad. And we told him, we said we have some people for him, and we left some people and we went. Lo and behold, that same man gave his heart to Jesus Christ.
All right, let's move forward a little bit. What made you decide to actually leave your homeland, Africa, to come here to the U.S. and live permanently? And what's different here now that you're living that's totally different than from when you were living in Africa?
In Africa, I have to pray for electricity because I have a business center where I service computers, sell computer, and train students how to use the computer. And the electricity is not there. So what I would do is to go to the office, I will kneel down and I will pray. And I will say, Lord, can I have electricity at least for 4 hours so I can train my student? Lo and behold, after the prayer, the light will come. And I will start training my student. We have to do typing, whatever we have to do, we'll be doing it. And after 4 hours, the light is off again. And I started thinking, said, I would have prayed for the will of God to be done, not trying to put God on the time and say, do it for me at such time. Because I said 4 hours. And after 4 hours, lo and behold, no more lights. And then I changed my ways. Instead of praying for 4 hours, I just prayed, Lord, help me with electricity today so I can train my student. And lo and behold, God will give me electricity and I'll be able to train my student. Sometimes I have to go buy, we call it a fuel, which is called gas here. To go buy gas, feed the generator, and put it on to take care of the electricity supply. But when sometimes, I remember there was a day, there was no gas in the generator. And the generator worked for over an hour. It never stopped. I don't know how that happened. I told my manager, go check if we still have gas. He opened and said, there's no gas. It's okay, what do we have to continue. And for over an hour, it was still running. I was training my student until we finished and the thing went off. So sometimes God is in every affairs of our life. Everything, God, in my case, God really proved himself strong in the way he worked with me. And I have a lot of testimony that I need to share. In America here, what happened to me in America here. And I don't want to give the people's name, but they know themselves when they hear this. There was a day I was going to pick up my kids here. They go to school here. As I was coming down to pick them, I had a voice in my head, strong voice. Edosa, go to the dollar store and pray for a lady. I keep on driving. And the voice came back the second time, Edosa, I asked you to go to the dollar store and pray for a lady. When the voice comes out the second time, I know it's God speaking. And I moved, I went to the dollar store. As soon as I parked the vehicle, he said, that lady, she drove SUV, she opened up one of the door, the passenger's door. So I went to her and said, first, I'm here to give you the gospel. I gave her a CD, and I gave her a Step to Christ book. I said, this is for you. I said, the second time I'm here is to pray for you. And she was crying like a baby. I said, why are you crying? He called, she have 2 daughters. He said, come. He said, we just prayed here that God should bring somebody to come and pray for us because we are homeless. She rented an apartment and they told her it was ready and she quit off the lease of where she used to live and she moved her things. Getting there, they said, sorry, it's not going to be ready like in 3 or 4 days. So she was panicking. She had to take her stuff to a storage place where she had to keep her stuff. And she was at a dollar store, just pleading with God to bring somebody to pray for her. And after I prayed with her, and I told her to wait, that I'm going to pick up my kids and I'll come back to her. So I called my wife, and we have to make a provision for where they have to stay until she have to move back to the place where she rented. So there are so many miracles that I will give. I'll give this one. This one was tough one. At work, where I work, there's a lady, good lady, nice lady. She's a white lady. She gives me Gatorade all the time when she go to public. So I go to public, I go Gatorade, buy one, get one free. This is for you. She called me Ed. This is for you. She gave it to me. So the second time I said, you are so nice to me. I have to also tell you, thank you for what you're doing for me. I gave her 3 CDs. I always make CDs. I said, this is a preaching. I want to listen to the preaching. If you have any question, call me. Then we can talk about the preaching. She was, oh, thank you. I never knew there was going to be trouble with that. As soon as I left work about 5 o'clock, the lady called my supervisor. She was crying, screaming, and said something bad happened to her. She had to call the police, the FBI. She needed to, because somebody came. Listen to this. This is, I know when I say this, sometimes people laugh at it. I said it at my church, we were laughing. I said, no, this is not a laughing stock. This is serious. The lady said at 4:45, a white man, very tall white man, with a long red beard, gave her the CD to listen to, and told her that there's going to be destruction in this world. Everything in this world is going to be destroyed. And now she wants people to help her look for the white man. She can't see. She was looking around. She couldn't find the white man anymore. And my supervisor called me and I said, Edosa, there's something wrong here. I know you are the only one here that give us CDs and the books and everything. I know you do that. But the lady said it's a white man. And he said he asked the lady 3 times. 3 times. Are you sure it's not a black man? She said, no, it's a white man. 3 times. And because of that, she had to report to OSHA, and we have to have a meeting. In that meeting, to cut a long story short, in that meeting, my supervisor said something, he stood up. He said, I'm going to give you a cake and a sherry on top. And as soon as he used that word, I knew it was referring to me. And I stood up in the meeting. I said, I'm the one that gave the CD to the lady. I gave the CD to her. And they said they dismissed the case because she said it was a white man, not a black man. What does that mean? You say, God knew that I'd be in trouble. And he shielded me. He shielded me and put somebody else to represent me. And I believe that was an angel. Because when I gave it to her, it was me, but she saw an angel, a white man, who gave her the CD. So I just want to bring this testimony. There are more testimony of what God has done in my life. Sometimes when I look at them, me and my wife, we just like, wow, who am I that God can do such a great thing for? And another one is this. I don't want to forget this. This is very important. This happened in Pembroke Road. I was going out, and I met a lady. I was driving. As I was driving, the lady came down from my building. She was going, I think she was going to work, yeah. She came down, she was going to my building. And I had a voice in my head, pick her up and drop her where she's going. And I said, I don't even know her. And the voice came back the second time and said, Edosa, pick up that lady and drop her at work, where she's going. And I parked the vehicle. I said, hello, how you doing? I said, I brought down the glass. And I said, I'm taking you where you go. She said, you know me. How will you take the way I'm going? I said, but God said I should go drop you where you're going. She said, really? Okay. She opened the door. She came inside. And as we were going, I said, I'm going to Miami. She said she's going to Broward. I said, okay, I'll drop you. And I told her, tell me the direction. And when I got to a place of work, I parked. I said, I won't let you go without giving you the word of God. I gave her a CD, and I gave her some books, some tracts. I said, look at this CD. Who changed the Sabbath? She said, are you a Seventh-day Adventist? I said, yes. She said, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm from Jamaica. I just came new to the country. What church do you go to? I said, Maranatha. She said, next Sabbath, I'm going to be with you at Maranatha. And she came to church. And I really give God thanks for doing that. Though somebody told me, never do that again. You don't carry a woman you don't know. What about if she lied on you, you did something to her? I said, when God speaks, it's different from when you're doing things on your own. Since it was God that told me, pick her up and drop her, that was a Seventh-day Adventist lady inside the hot sun, walking she was going to walk to the place where she worked, or look for a taxi. And I took her to work. So God is working. I don't want us to fail this, because God is still speaking. Somebody told me, are you sure it was God who was speaking? I said, yes, it's God who was speaking.